Alright guys, what's going on? Back in the truck. I'm kind of just bored, so I'm just gonna start serving some shit up to you. So I'm actually gonna talk to you about the times that I had run-ins with law enforcement, and that they're gonna be, let's see, there's gonna be four times, and each time there's two times where I was with the same person, but one time I was alone, and then the other time I was with some friends of mine. So the first time, let's talk about the first time. So I used to live in another part of town, and it was right by a golf course. And what do golf courses attract? A shitload of rabbits. So I love hunting. I had a pellet gun and a bow, and I had a bunch of other pretty quiet and pretty humane means of dispatching and hunting rabbits or small game. And so me and my buddy were walking around the outskirts of this golf course, and so we see this gated area. We're like, dude, there's so many rabbits over there. We gotta get in there. So there we are. We're in there, and we're looking around and stuff. We're seeing where they're at. And I walk around this corner, and through the gate, I can see a cop car. And for some reason, I went full retard. I said, "Cop!" And I fucking ran. And then I thought, oh shit, he'll catch me. So I stopped what I was doing, and then, I went back, and I'm like, hey, look, man, you saw me running. Yeah, I ran. And then I realized that was a dumb decision, so, I'm not doing anything too terribly wrong. I'm just a little bit of trespassing. And I was honest with him. We were up there rabbit hunting. We weren't trying to steal anything. We were just trespassing. And he ended up just telling us to go home. So we went home, blah, 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 and that was that. That was probably one of the easiest times I've ever had with law enforcement. Now, this next time is a whole nother story. I was living in the same house that I was before in the previous story, and my buddy got a new truck, same friend, and he's like, dude, let's take it for a spin. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. And it was a 1992 Dodge Dakota. And if you're watching this video, you know exactly who you are. And we called it the muscle truck. It was two-wheel drive. It was primer gray. And it had a 318 small block V8 Dodge. And so we're flying down our interstate, or our one of our major highways. And I could just see that fucking speedo climbing. 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. And we get to 100. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. And we've already done 100 in several other of his vehicles. So at this point, I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and I'm waving at people. I'm waving at that guy, waving at that guy, flipping this dude off, flipping him off, waving at that guy. And then I look over, and we're doing 125 miles an hour in the middle of the day on a highway. And then I see this black Tahoe coming up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know, I'm going to wave at this guy. Wave at him. And I sat back in my seat, and I looked at my buddy, and I said, that was a cop. And so we started throwing our seatbelts on. That's another thing. We were on really, really, really bad tires. We didn't have seatbelts on. And I'm not even sure if the airbags worked in this thing. And we were doing 125 miles an hour. That's insane, but trust me, once you go that fast, it's rather fun. Don't speed. Don't do that. Don't do what I do. So he pulls us over, and he comes up to the driver, and he says, get out of the vehicle right now. And, well, the thing about this truck that he had is the driver door would not open. So he had to Bouduke that shit every time he wanted to go somewhere. So he's like, all right. And he climbs out the window, and the cop's like, all right, come back here with me. Leans him up against the truck, starts patting him down, because we just did a felony. So they're going to treat it like a felony stop, patting us down, or patting him down. They take him back to the car, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is it, man. And so I'm sitting there, and then this other cop walks up, and he was as cool as can be. He had like super tactical, cool ass pants, they were like a military camouflage, kind of like digital camo. So freaking cool. He had a big old dip in his mouth, and he walks up and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, well, we were just out having some fun, doing a little bit of speeding. We were just two kids, just breaking the law, doing what kids do." He's like, "Okay, why don't you go ahead and step out of the vehicle for me?" So I step out. Thank God the passenger door worked, because that would have been just hilarious. So I step out, and he's like, "Okay, go ahead and lean up against the truck." And he starts patting me down. He's like, "You don't have anything, do you?" I'm like, "No." He says, "Is there anything in the truck?" I said, "You know what? It's not my truck. I'm going to tell you there's nothing in there, but whatever he has in there is his." He's like, "Okay, all right, that's no problem. Go ahead and stay right here. Just go ahead and keep your hands right on that bedroll right there." I looked at him. I said, "Can I grab my dip?" And he said, he paused for a second. He's like, "Yeah, all right." So I reach in and I grab my Copenhagen off the dash, and he looks at me and he says, "You only asked me that because you saw mine, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I figured you'd understand." So blah, blah, blah. I'm standing there for like 15 minutes. It seemed like forever. And he's like, "All right, man, you're good. You can get back in the truck." And so I'm sitting on the door, like on the window, kind of leaning out, And they're talking to him, my buddy, and I guess they didn't want me to hear what he was saying. So they both looked at me, and the first cop said, "All the way in. You need to be all the way in." And we just got processed. We got, or I should say, he got a rather hefty ticket. It was a felony ticket, and so that was a pretty good time. Everyone was real cool. The first cop was a little strict and a little on the edge, but it was a felony stop. He has to treat it like a felony. So he did his job. The second cop did his job. They both were they were a joy to be. What would you call it? They were a joy to be around. They were a joy to work with. They didn't make the process miserable at all, or anything like that. The next time this one's a little dark. And this is one of the times where I almost died. Same house. All these stories take place where I was living out of the same house. So I'm in the house. Oh, hold on, my lights went off again. So I'm inside the house, and I'm on the computer, and maybe every 3 to 5 minutes I'd see some bright lights go by on the street. I thought that's really, really weird. So I peek my head out, and I see 3 cop cars in a row, just whew, whew, whew. They were just cruising, and they had their spotlights on. And then I look across the street, and across the street, kind of that way to me, it was, so if this is straight across the street, kind of that way, was a friend of ours, and he was a cop. He was a local officer. And I look out, and I see some cops outside his house. And I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? And so I thought, well, maybe I should go check this out. He's a member of the community. He's my friend. Maybe I should check in on this. And so I put my pants on. I made myself look presentable instead of walking out there in shorts and barefoot. I made myself look presentable. And as I'm walking over there, I see this cop with a flashlight go around the corner. I'm like, okay, well, instead of, you know, walking behind him and saying, hey, buddy, let me talk to you, and getting shot in the face, you know, I just kind of stood by his patrol car, just kind of standing there. And then he comes back around and he sees me and he pulls his gun out. And I couldn't tell you how many times I yelled, you know, please don't, you know, I'm a friendly, I'm not gonna hurt you. I just, you know, don't shoot me. I was just pleading with this guy. He's like, what are you doing? I just have some questions. I know Jeremy, you know. And so him and I were talking, and let me clear a notification really quick. And him and I were talking, and he was actually fishing. He was fishing for something. He's like, yeah, we're out here looking for a guy. There was a guy in this backyard right here. You haven't seen anybody, have you? I'm like, no, I really haven't. And he's like, really? You haven't seen anyone with a gray shirt, blue jeans, and which is exactly what I was wearing. I'm like, no, man, I haven't seen anyone. It's like, where do you live? I live in that house right there. I just gave him all my information, you know, made it a quick and easy process. And so that was fun and frightening. The next time, I don't know how we didn't go to jail. But it was like 3 in the morning, and it was winter time, and we had my buddy's 2nd gen Dodge Cummins 12 valve. And we were up in a local area playing in the snow. And it was in the dead of winter, and we're just sledding, you know, making our way with the moonlight, you know what I mean? And it was me, him, and our friend. And she was sitting in the middle, and I'm sitting on the passenger side, and he's driving. And so we're sitting there, and we get to this light. Once we're done, we get to this light, and it seemed like we were there forever. And so he's like, you know what, fuck this. And so he makes a right, and then a left, like a U-turn, and then makes another right where the light is now green. So he went from facing this way to going this way, and then facing that way where the light was green and he had the right of way, and then made the turn. And right there on the corner of the intersection, there's a cop. And so I'm looking, and I'm like, there was a cop there, and he's like, it's legal. And we're driving down the road, and we see him turn around and flip his lights on. And the weird part, looking back on it, we floored it, and we're doing, 65, 70 miles an hour. And eventually, he's like, you know what, I'm going to pull over. And he pulled over, and we're waiting for him. And it was so weird, because he didn't seem like he was in that much of a hurry to frickin', catch us. Because we sat there for maybe a minute or two before he came up and started processing us, asking us questions. Where are you from? Where are you coming from? Do you know why I pulled you over? And, no ticket. No ticket at all. And so, we're all sitting there like, holy shit, we just dodged the world's biggest bullet because we made a major traffic violation. First off, there was nobody out on the road. It's 3 a.m. in a little podunk town, so there's nobody. So we just made a major traffic violation. And then technically we ran from the police. You don't just get let off with that. You either get a ticket for your traffic violation, or you go to jail for running from the police. I mean, point is, what saved me in all my experiences, I was cool. Just be really, really cool. Don't move. Either you get comfortable or you don't move. You just look straight ahead. When they come up, I look, and when they say, okay, hand me this, then you say, okay, and then you slowly do what you're gonna do, hand it to them, and that's it. You just keep both hands where they can see them all the time. You know, and it makes everything go a whole lot easier, you know, and it's just beneficial to you. So this has been a little bit of a story time. I kind of enjoy this. I told a lot of people that I was gonna do, you know, some stuff like story time and things like that. But anyway, go follow my Instagram. It's sticker_bomb_everything. Sticker bomb everything. This has been story time. Yeah. So go subscribe, guys. Thanks a lot.